A few moments.
That doesn't make sense.
And those are 3 hours I will never get back. What a boring, uninspiring, interminable waste of time. Damn! Believe it or not, this couple is still complaining. From the Montecito mansion with their 2 beautiful, perfectly healthy children, a little chicken coop and flower garden out back, matching Uggs for Meghan and her toddler, all royal titles still intact, complete with matching stationery, and nearly $200 million in the bank thanks to their insatiable desire to finally tell their story. Like to Oprah, and on Spotify, and in New York Magazine, and in a memoir, and, well, you get the point. They have to do it, you see, because no one knows the whole story. No one.
This has always been so much bigger than us.
No one knows the full truth. We know the full truth.
Stop it. Get some help.
The institution knows the full truth, and the media know the full truth because they've been in on it.
Okay, so Harry and Meghan know, and the entire royal family knows. And the press, who informs the public, they know. And the guy at the Sunoco, he knows. And the waiter at Olive Garden, he knows too. And that's all. That's all that knows.
Okay.
No one else knows the full truth. So they have to finally tell it. Okay. And what is their chief complaint, pray tell? It appears to be that the press has occasionally been not nice to Meghan Markle.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
After months of ubiquitous fawning coverage that made her a household name. Some then said nasty things, like calling her the C word, and the B word, and the other B word. And you know what, Meg? Been there. Quick reminder.
Megyn Kelly's really biased against me. Do you really think she can be fair at a debate?
Which set off a new torrent of tweets.
80,000 tweets directed towards Megyn Kelly. Vocative broke it down to see what the most popular words.
Crazy Megyn Kelly.
Crazy,
bimbo.
overrated.
Bimbo blonde.
Bimbo Megyn Kelly.
Hooker.
Can't watch Crazy Megyn anymore.
Donald Trump and his arch nemesis Megyn Kelly are making peace.
Signs of a truce this morning between
their
Trump
feud
and
apparently diffused.
You met with Megyn Kelly today. How did that go?
Stop it. Get some help.
Good times. And let me tell you what I've learned. Over time, the nastiness dies down and you learn to rise above. You learn to look at your beautiful life and to focus on that, not what strangers write about you in the press. The sun keeps rising in the east and your loving life goes on.
Nice.
No matter what people tweet or print about you. As King Charles once said, and I know you've seen this because it's in your series, you let this stuff take hold of you at your peril.
I am the way your son don't need.
If you don't try to work out in your own mind some kind of method for existing and surviving this kind of thing, you would go mad, I think.
Here we go again.
Obsessing over the negative pieces for 5+ years is another way to go. Constantly playing the victim despite the enormous gifts you've been given.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
But this is not healthy, nor is it particularly attractive. And newsflash, it has the added effect of making people dislike you, thus feeding the demand for even more negative press.
Boring.
The people this pair is asking to feel sorry for them have their own problems, real ones. They live paycheck to paycheck for the most part. They have kids in public schools where they worry about depression or drugs and crazy teachers. They work all day. They're tired. They need a vacation that they're probably not going to get, and they don't have a closet full of designer dresses, never mind stylists surrounding them for major black tie events, as we see in this piece.
Fact.
They live in small houses or maybe an apartment. They keep a watchful eye on the rising gas and electric bills, the cost of groceries, as they try to save for college and still give their kids a nice Christmas. Too often they're dealing with health issues or dependency or unexpected layoffs, and they certainly don't give a damn about the mean tweets being sent out about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Okay.
One thing I did find interesting was the amount of emotional baggage Harry still carries. It's big. Good gracious, is this man insecure. Partly because he's a ginger. Yes, wait for it. And partly because he clearly has not worked out the trauma of his mother's premature death. Time and time again, I said to myself while watching this guy needed therapy.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Not the weird tapping thing he did. A real psychotherapist. That is what he needed. Not a whiny, woke, annoying wife.
What? What the?
Listen to him describe how his family allegedly reacted when he introduced them to Meghan.
I remember my family first meeting her and being incredibly impressed.
So that was a lie.
Some of them didn't quite know what to do with themselves. Because I think they were surprised. Maybe surprised that a ginger could land such a beautiful woman and such an intelligent woman.
Are you sure about that?
That's not his family. That's him. And he's not wrong. Does anyone really think if he were Harry Jones instead of Harry Windsor, this beautiful, semi-known social climber would have given him the time of day? It is a bit shocking that she's with him, until you consider his title, fame, family, money, sort of, castles, staff, and access to fabulous things and people. That's what lured her in, clearly. Not Harry's red hair, and not his Mensa IQ either.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Just kidding, that's not a real thing. Remember when he called the First Amendment bonkers? This is no scholar. All of this is a downside of being a prince, I guess. And not even the heir, just the spare. Honestly, though, it's probably also a downside of being a Gates or a Jobs or a Zuckerberg or a Beckham or a Brady.
What do you mean by that?
But it does explain why she so easily leads him around now by his little red puppy dog ears.
Come on now, dog.
Top that off with her damsel in distress routine every time a tabloid or a tweet or an anonymous internet troll says something nasty about her, and you have the perfect cocktail for frustration, tears, and eventually Megxit. Here's Harry explaining how he was not going to let this become Diana 2.0.
I accept that there will be people around the world who fundamentally disagree with what I've done and how I've done it.
Fact.
But I knew that I had to do everything I could to protect my family.
Hi, Grandma. Yeah. Hi, Grandma.
Especially after what happened to my mum.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
That's your Grandma Diana. Yeah.
You know, I didn't want history to repeat itself.
Absolutely no gratitude and complain that you were objectified.
Fact.
That's why you got a paycheck. You and she both lie. A lot, especially your wife. Oh, I was told by the guy in The Lion King that people hadn't celebrated like this when I married Harry, like they did since Mandela was freed. Lie. Lie, as the Lion King cast has come out and said. You claimed your baby was in grave danger when there was a fire in the nursery when you did the overseas trip. He was nowhere near the fire. It was smoke out of an errant heater, and he was nowhere near it. He was not in danger, but you did that to make yourself look more aggrieved.
What do you mean by that?
Than in fact you were. That's a pattern with you. You suggested the royals are racist, as I mentioned, without a scintilla of truth. Now you reverse that, and you blame the press for that too. All right?
What?
Right? By the way, these two, as they now claim that they never called the royals racist, that's what Harry's claiming, that neither he nor his wife ever called the royals racists, despite what we heard in the Oprah interview. They accepted an award like 2 weeks ago in New York City for standing up to, and I quote, the structural racism within the royal family. That was Kerry Kennedy, whose family was presenting them with the award. Did they stand up and say, this is an outrage?
That doesn't make sense.
Our family's not racist. We never said such a thing. No, they took the award and loved every second of it. So spare me now that the blowback has been bad, that you didn't call them racist, because you did. We saw it. It's on tape. You constantly lecture the so-called little people on how they need to be better people, more like you, we guess, while showing zero appreciation for their problems, right?
So that was a lie.
Harry had the nerve to lecture us on white supremacy and white privilege. Then their Netflix documentary calls all Brexiters racist if you were in favor of Brexit, which the majority of Great Britain residents were. You're racist.
What the hell?
She's out there telling us don't call women difficult. By the way, we now know that's what Prince William called her. So like I said before, that whole Spotify series she did was her working out her own issues. She doesn't want you to be able to say women are difficult because that's what Prince William said about her. Don't say diva. Don't say bitch. I'm sure they called her that too. You're hypocrites. You lecture us on the environment and how we need to go green and do better as citizens while you're on your private jets and your SUVs with your enormous mansion out in Montecito saying reportedly it's not big enough or good enough for you, right? These are the reasons why we can't stand you. I'm giving you the specifics you so desperately want. You lecture us on kindness and how to be nice and be kind while you bully the little people around you. Half your staff walks out every other week because they can't stand working for you. What does it take to make somebody walk out on working for a royal? Probably a lot. Right? Is it over? Is Harry finally done with his incessant whining and the demonization of his family? I don't think so. I don't think it's done by a long shot. He's out there giving these interviews. I'm really hoping this is it, so we don't have to keep talking about this guy. They don't seem to ever get bored of the spotlight.
Okay.
Is your business still using spreadsheets and emails to manage important sales commission? I understand what's happening from Meghan Markle's perspective toward Kate.
Okay.
Like, she does seem to be very focused on her. To take any shots at Will and Kate in this documentary is pretty extraordinary. I mean, Harry used to be like their third wheel and they were very good to him. She's been very kind to him. Why would they be taking shots at Will and Kate? You know, they're not responsible for this massive institution, not yet. So she does seem to be obsessed with her because she raised her again in the Oprah interview in a way that we were told was dishonest. To your point a moment ago, that's interesting to me that you think this whole thing is about her anger toward the Princess of Wales.
100%. It's just pure jealousy against Kate. This entire Netflix deal, the entire reason she came out of the royal family is because she just cannot deal with the fact that there is another woman who is equally as beautiful, who is a whole lot more classy and a whole lot more talented and just better fit for the royal family than she is. And she cannot handle that. And this is all coming out of jealousy and of rage. And Harry's just sitting there and watching like a loser.
I said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
That's the thing. Harry, by the way, I mean, Leilani, on the wardrobe front, Meghan wore tons of color while she was over there in the UK and part of the royal family. We have plenty of evidence of it. And she, by the way, because I have crack producers, she wore tons of camel and black and white prior to joining the royal family and after. So I don't know what, this is just so classic her. You know, look at the sacrifices I tried so hard to fit in.
That doesn't make sense.
But those mean, stiff royals were feeding me to the slaughter.
But, you know, muted colours are also in fashion at the times. You know, a camel coat, you're out in the countryside, you would wear something muted. I mean, it's all poor me. And this is the whole thing. It has been years and years of poor me, all about her, you know, and then what she wants to do is blame it on racism and blame, you know, the palace, royalty, then the media, and then actually the British people, which you see happening in episode 2, when she starts to try and say Britain's racist because of rows over illegal immigrants, not legal immigrants, illegal immigrants. And it paints this picture for England, you know, and Britain being racist. But when we go back to it, the reason people don't like her is because she has been all about me.
Well, duh.
And she thinks that she can relate to people. Maybe she thinks, oh, it makes me more relatable if I have problems that I can complain about, because right now there is this whole thing of competitive victimhood that's going on. Points for racism, points for being picked on, points for being bullied. So it's all, to me, I think so much of it's made up, but she can play on these like victim points, compete with other, you know, not real victims of like abuse or anything, but
Stop it. Get some help.
she plays the victim. And so for me, the turning point was when she was in South Africa and she was doing a tour. She was at a home with very vulnerable girls, and it was an ITV journalist that said to her, you know, Meghan, how are you doing? She's like, no one ever asks if I'm okay.
So that was a f***ing lie.
And it's like, whoa, for me, that was like, hold on a minute. You have not only money, but you also have a healthy child, I think it was one at the time, and a husband that loves you dearly, right? And a mother that loves you. And you're playing this poor me, I'm a victim with real, you know, vulnerable people around you that you're supposed to be on tour with. And I think that was a turning point for a lot of people when it became me, oh, poor me. But then she'll blame it on racism. And it's the weirdest, craziest thing.
Oliver the Ornament is a 7-book series about one family's collection of ornaments. The first book begins Thanksgiving night, while the last book takes place on Christmas morning. Each book introduces a new holiday ornament and weaves in the story of that ornament. It's a good idea, right?
Yeah, right.
Super cute for the whole family. The books teach kindness, and they have lots of plot twists and cliffhangers. This is a great tradition for your entire family. Parents, grandparents, kids, grandkids, they're all going to look forward to the next family story night. It's a nice way to get everybody together.
And
maybe some hot cocoa mixed in, maybe a warm fire, maybe some eggnog for the grown-ups. It's great for the holiday season. Oliver the Ornament has won all kinds of awards and accolades. First Lady Melania Trump selected this book to be read at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., continuing a 75-year-long tradition.
Nice.
Go to olivertheornament.com today. olivertheornament.com today. Hit the big Shop Now button on the page. And when you buy the Oliver the Ornament set, you're going to get a whole bunch of extra goodies, including audiobooks.
Are you sure about that?
Use the code Megyn at checkout. Oliver the Ornament, ORNAMENT.com. Use code Megyn at checkout. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.
fact.
Speaking of martyrs and people who have been really unfairly put upon, let me ask you about Meghan Markle.
Is he all right upstairs?
One of the great martyrs of our time.
The studio fell silent, the weight of his words settling like a heavy fog, revealing a man driven by conviction, controversy, and a desire to provoke thought, if not change. This is the most thought-provoking insights from Andrew Tate and Piers Morgan. As the interview continued, it was clear that this was more than a clash of personalities. It was a meeting of two forces, each trying to understand the other in a world where understanding often seemed just out of reach. In this video, we will highlight reels and key moments of the interview, thematic breakdown, creative presentation, and contextual backstory of the whole interview. Stay with me. Andrew Tate, a former kickboxing champion turned social media personality, has built a reputation on controversial and provocative statements. His background in competitive sports contributes to his persona of toughness and resilience. Andrew Tate speaks directly to the youth, addressing their disconnection with modern society, and said, "There's a whole swath of the population, especially young men, that feel disenfranchised. They don't feel an affinity with the educational systems or the culture, and they look at a person like me who stands up and says things that many young men think. The fact that people like what I say means that they agree with me deep inside. They may be afraid to say it themselves, but I am seen as a bastion of free speech and a bastion of masculinity as a whole, because a lot of men are largely forgotten about." Tate articulates a resonant view on why many young men feel disconnected from modern societal structures. This moment stands out because it captures the crux of his appeal to a significant portion of his audience. Piers Morgan challenges Tate on his influence and responsibility, prompting a reflective response about growth and the role of truth. This moment is pivotal as it delves into the moral implications of Tate's actions and rhetoric. Piers Morgan asked, "Do you think you're a force for good, or are you a force in evolution where perhaps you've done and said stuff you shouldn't have done?" Andrew responded, "I do not think I'm a force for good. I absolutely, utterly know I am a force for good because I'm a force for truth. And truth is a good thing. Without truth, we're going to end up in absolute tyranny and slavery." Tate's confident claim of being a force for good and his emphasis on truth highlights his self-perception and defiance against criticism, making it a